Okay, so you turned in homework today based on chapter 12 and the speech by Gabriel Garcia Marquez that I lectured on in the previous class. We could start with Clawson. Are there any chapter 12 textbook questions that you'd like me to go over in class? Mm-hmm. 14. What is a periférico? How does it relate to the zones of in situ accretion and squatter settlements? So let's take a look at that. Here we go. All right, so the periférico, this highway, freeway, road that goes around a city, and then the zone of in situ accretion is right inside of it. And the zone of peripheral squatter settlements are right outside of it instead of just inside. So one is inside, one is outside. So the periférico, its purpose is to help with traffic. And we have those in the United States as well. In the US, we call them belts or loops. If you've ever driven cross country, and let's say you're heading toward the Twin Cities, or you're heading toward Chicago, and you don't want to get stuck in the traffic in the cities or the traffic in Chicago, then you take a belt or a loop that goes around the city so you don't go in straight to downtown and get stuck in the local traffic. So we have that kind of thing in the United States as well. More specifically, so that tells us about the periférico. The second part of the question, how does it relate to zone of in situ accretion and the zone of peripheral squatter settlements? Is that basically within the periférico is the more, like, it has to do with people being able to afford living in expensive places or not. So next to the spine is where the people with the most wealth live. Then after that, it would be, you could think of it as more like middle, would be in the zone of in situ accretion, kind of towards the outskirts of the city, but not beyond the periférico. And then beyond the periférico, that's where you have the outskirts of more squatter settlements. Good question. Other questions? Mhm. 18. How are patriotism and place names used to justify squatter settlements? So in the text, we learned that squatter settlements actually do not fit these misconceptions, that a lot of them are actually pretty well planned, and there's a lot of people that take part in them. And when they're putting them together, when they're creating them, they give them a patriotic name, or a name that has to do with hope, so that the government and the public will support that settlement staying. And so if people decide, okay, on 4th of July, we're all gonna on the 3rd of July, we're all gonna show up in the middle of the night, and we're gonna claim this whole block, and we're gonna name it Liberty Heights, and we're gonna call the streets, I don't know, Constitution Avenue and whatever. And then in the morning, we're gonna call a press conference, and we're gonna, show all these cute faces and be like, okay, starting today, this is the new neighborhood of Liberty Heights, on Believe in the Future, the Future of America Avenue, or whatever. And so it tries to pull those patriotic heartstrings, or, these ideas of hope, so that the government won't kick them out, and so that the public also will support this settlement staying. And so that's the idea with that. Let me double check that there isn't a part of it I didn't answer. Yeah, patriotism and placement. So you just give it a patriotic name. So that, what? You're against Liberty Heights on 4th of July? And so they'll do that kind of thing within their own countries with their own tropes about what it means to be Mexican or Salvadoran or Bolivian or whatever. Other homework questions? Beginning with the textbook, and then we'll move on to the speech. No? All right. How about from the speech? Any you'd like help with? Oh, yes. Number 30. Who was Alvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca? So he was an explorer. That was part of the expedition by Pánfilo de Narváez. Why did Pánfilo de Narváez bring them and others to the Americas? In particular, he brought them to, from Florida to Mexico. They were looking for the fountain of youth, and most of them died. There were only a handful that survived that trek from Florida all the way back to Mexico. Any others?